The Toronto Blue Jays have just made a shocking signing in a wild turn of events. They continue to make moves, this time signing a former highly touted prospect and someone who has had some pretty big success offensively at the major league level. We're going to break down exactly who this is and discuss what it means for the rest of this season into the playoffs. We also have some pretty big Jays updates to go over today surrounding the series upcoming against the Milwaukee Brewers, one that's going to be an absolute showdown. But before we get into it all, if you're part of that percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel, folks, this is the place to be for daily Jays content. You guys have been absolute beasts. Thank you guys for your continued support. It's been unbelievable. Ladies and gentlemen, surprising turn of events here. And they signed Ryan Borucki a couple days ago. They are not stopping with these moves as they have signed Eloy Jimenez. We're diving into the rotation for this upcoming series later. They have signed Eloy Jimenez. You can see here from Mike Rodriguez. According to my sources, Eloy Jimenez has signed a minor league contract with the Jays. Eloy is in good health and ready to play. He's only waiting to obtain his work visa. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Eloy, we're going to dive into it all. But I assume this, is going to be made official by Ben Nicholson-Smith and Shai Davidi and Aaron Zwelling and reporters like that from the Jays side once he gets his work visa, I guess. But at the time of recording, it's not made official by them. But a fairly reliable reporter here, although he's gotten some things wrong in the past. This is going to happen. He's absolutely accurate with players like this. Now, Eloy Jimenez has been out the entire, or missed a lot of time lately with injuries. And according to Mike Rodriguez, he's not only in good health, but he's ready to go. And folks, this one is going to be interesting. You can see this here. I mentioned highly touted prospect. The Blue Jays now have MLB Pipeline's number 1, number 3, and number 11 prospects of 2018, that is, which is obviously pretty funny. But it's relevant because this is a guy that actually has had some pretty big success offensively at the major league level, was a former highly touted prospect. And it is a big, not a big gamble, really. It's really a low risk, high reward because it is a minor league contract. But because they signed him before September 1st, he's eligible for the postseason if they decide to go that route. Don't think they necessarily will. But let's dive into the exact stats for this player. Now, he's yet to play this year, and he played with the White Sox for the majority of his career. I believe he signed with the Tampa Bay Rays this offseason and then got DFA'd by them and without playing because of his injuries. He has struggled to stay healthy. His last fully basically healthy season was 2023, but I mentioned some success at the MLB level offensively. Rookie year, 122 games and 828 OPS. 2020, 891 OPS. 2021, 740. 2022, 858. And it's only really been his last season in 2024 where he was a below average hitter. And you look at all the other years, he was an above average hitter besides basically league average in 2021. This is a guy that mashes righties, can mash lefties a little bit, and was a Silver Slugger winner, which is a surprising stat, folks. They acquired a former Silver Slugger winner. But regardless, it's a player that you don't really, and again, he played a little bit with the Orioles last year. I believe they acquired him at the deadline, correct me if I'm wrong, but he hasn't really been healthy enough. But when he's healthy, he's been really good offensively. Now, is he the best player out there? Absolutely not. And is he really good offensively or defensively? No, he's really bad defensively. However, the Jays, if they think they found something in him, whether that be through Dave Popkins, whether that be through somebody else, like David Popkins has fixed a lot of hitters already. If they think a guy like this can actually contribute, it'll be interesting. Now, of course, the roster's expand September 1st. Do they pick this guy instead of Joey Loperfido? Like, probably not. But they do have a lot of lefties. They have a lot of interesting names. And it is a super, super interesting signing. You can see this, point here with Ben Power. Sometimes a change of scenery can make a difference. Look at Miles Straw. And this deal doesn't even have half money tied up in it, rather. It's a minor league deal. Very little risk for a hypothetically big reward if he hits the majors and improves. Two big ifs, but again, little risk. And that's what the, epitome of this deal is. It is shocking because I had no idea they were even involved in this. But this is a guy who's only 28 years old and has had some extremely good success offensively. And you can't find those guys very often. And the Jays go out and do so. And I really, really like it. I love the move. I'm very curious to see what you all think about it in the comment section because a couple different things. Let's look at his, Savant from his most recent year. Really good exit velo, really good hard hit rate, struggles in some other ways. But he is still, I think, very capable of, impacting an MLB team. And, maybe he does great in the minors or they call him up for the majors this year and he ends up, signing a deal if he does really well with the Jays. It's a guy that has a lot of potential. He was a former really good player, really, really good player. And ultimately, folks, he's a free agent. I'll be free agent after this year, but a minor league deal. You get a guy who was a Silver Slugger for nothing in a minor league deal. Now, of course, he struggled, injuries, all these different things. I'm not saying this is some absolute steal or absolute robbery, but it kind of is a bit of a steal here. And most importantly, it's a shocking signing. I didn't see it coming. And we'll see how he does. With guys like Santander on the horizon, I'm not exactly sure what their plan is with Eloy, but it'll be interesting to see here. And I saw a little bit of a Reddit post actually done up here, or a comment from Reddit with some pretty interesting, points, and I wanted to bring them up. Shout out to this guy. More of a depth piece, last minute addition before the September 1st deadline. Pretty sure he would be eligible for the postseason roster in the event of an injury. Eloy provides depth in that area regarding a power boost. Springer, Vlad, Santander, France. We don't have much depth at DH first base. Obviously, Loberfito is good depth in AAA, but he's a quality corner. So it's interesting. Profiles more as a backup to Lucas Barger-Varsho. And he does, right? Ultimately, he wouldn't play every day. And I don't know the exact, Reddit profile of this guy, but shout out to the guy who did the post. I apologize for not having it. But regardless, it is interesting. I really love the move. And let me know, most importantly, down below what your thoughts are on this move. Now, let's dive into a couple other things here, because that signing was absolutely, I'm surprised by it. I didn't expect it to happen. And these signings so close to the start of the postseason is, it's a little bit intriguing, but let's dive into now some other things. Now, of course, we have a couple different things. So the rotation starting tonight will be Bieber, Gausman, Scherzer. We know they line this up for both this series against the Brewers and then the next series against the Yankees when that comes up. Obviously, the next set around with the Reds in between. This is going to be an exciting start tonight. We at Shane Bieber. It's going to be an absolute bloodbath, and I hope the Toronto Blue Jays show up, because the out-of-town scoreboard did no favors. I believe everything fell the opposite way here in yesterday's games. So that's unfortunate. I know the Yankees swept the Nationals. Jazz Chisholm saying they're going to win the AL East. They're going to win the World Series after sweeping the Nationals of all teams, which is a little bit ridiculous. But I digress. That is, I'll let he can say what he wants. The Jays still remain 3.5 games up, I believe, is the time of recording on the division. And most importantly, most excitingly, we're seeing the resurgence of George Springer and Bo Bichette here. And you can see here, average in the AL. You have Judge, and then you have 3 in the top 5 in the AL in this Toronto Blue Jays team. Unbelievable. And this is what we're going to be looking forward to against the Brewers. They're shaping up against, I believe it's Wandy Peralta tonight, who is an absolute stud, right? He is an absolute stud. And not Wandy Peralta. I'm thinking of a different guy. Freddie Peralta tonight of the Brewers. Freddie Peralta, not Wandy, before you guys comment. Very, very good. He's 15-6 this season with the sub-3 ERA. So it's going to be a little bit crazy, but I have full faith in Mr. Bieber, and I'm excited to see it. And let's dive into a couple things here before I wrap up. Now, obviously, the last game the other night was wild. We had Jeff Hoffman come back from what was one of the worst games of the year and turn it into the following game, a really big bounce back. And Schneider said that he always stood behind Hoffman, just like he always does. He's done the same with Springer, Vladdy, and a dozen other players, but Schneider's batting average is pretty high. And he basically went on to say about his decision, I don't know how it feels to go out, give up some runs, and hear it from your home crowd. Schneider said then to go back out, stand on the mound with a 1-run lead against the middle part of the order. I don't know what it feels like, or what that feels like, rather. But that's why he's good at it. I'm pumped for him. And I got to be pumped for John Schneider here, because all eyes would have been on John Schneider if he would have brought out Hoffman again like he did in the last game against the Twins and, did really, really bad, right? If he would have, Hoffman would have, crap the bed, and people would have said, well, John Schneider, why'd you bring him back out there after he choked? You have to. He's your closer, and quite frankly, the Jays don't have a better closer right now. Like, their bullpen's in shambles a little bit. To throw him out there, they're going to need him down the stretch to win the World Series, to win playoff games, to win the AL East, to win games, and to throw him back out there, absolutely big decision, and one that paid off. Folks, that'll wrap it up. Let me know down below if you're excited for this weekend. You guys are beasts. Cheers.